Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for season 2 of PCCS's emPower Hour. We're so excited to be here. My name is Alyssa DeGusto.
My name is Kevin Roman.
And we are here today with our guest from Fast Feet NYC, Suzie Clinchy. Suzie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat.
Yeah, so are we. Well, thank you for being our first guest of season 2. So for those who are watching, we started back in May of season 1. Now we are starting off season 2 and we're getting ready to dive into the new year. So thank you again for joining us. So before we get started, Suzie, can you please introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization.
Sure. So my name is Suzie, and I am the founder and executive director of a nonprofit organization called Fast Feet NYC. We are also based in New York City, and we provide health equity programs for children and young adults with developmental and physical disabilities. So we have adaptive running programs. We do nutrition education classes and social skill development groups. So before founding Fast Feet, I was a public school math teacher. So I have a background in education. I went to Wake Forest University for undergrad, where I ran cross country and track, and I studied math. So I've been a runner for half of my life. So running is really one of my biggest passions. I still train and I still race now. So it's just been really special to kind of share like both of my passions for running, athletics, and education and youth development with, this really great and amazing community in New York City.
Wow, wonderful. Anybody who knows me personally knows that as well as everything else that I do, running is one of my biggest passions as well. So I'm very excited to be discussing all of this. I guess for starters, like, how did you get started with this organization? What brought this about?
Yeah, good question. So like I mentioned, I've always been a runner. It's, literally my favorite thing in the world to do. And I was a math teacher and I always coached youth track and field. So usually middle school, elementary, high school kids. And a few years ago, one of my really good friends he was a teacher at a school for kids with autism in Manhattan. And they had never really had a sport before at their school. So he, knew I was the coach and I love running and working with kids. So he suggested maybe I reach out to them and see if they would be interested in implementing some sort of running club, running program. And they were super open to it. So I went in, we had like 15, 20 kids, all of whom had autism spectrum disorder. And, we'd practice twice a week. And it was just, it was so amazing in, 3 months to see their progress physically. We had kids who could run and jump. They would run and jump for the first time like ever, after weeks of our sessions together. They really built like a team environment and a really beautiful community. And at the end of our season together, about 3 months of working together, we took them to a race at Icon Stadium. And they did the 400-meter dash. I think we were probably the only team there with adaptive runners. And, they received a standing ovation from this huge crowd. It was a USA track and field meet. So it was a pretty big event. So it was really cool, really special to kind of watch them and have their families, witness them competing in this event. And I just totally fell in love with working with kids with developmental differences. And I did some research and I couldn't really find anything similar to what, we had done in that school in New York City. So I kind of took the leap and I was like, all right, I'm gonna start it.
You're gonna be the one. There you go, the pioneer. That's great. That's great. When I had stumbled upon your organization's social media and therefore your whole organization. I had thought it was just running. I didn't know there was nutrition and all of these aspects as well that you helped out with. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that is new in 2020. We started with running programs for the first like year and a half of our um, us being in existence. And then really it was like kind of quarantine that pushed me to do this. But you know, we also saw the need and we listened to parents and we heard you know, the interest of people also wanting to learn how to eat healthy, how to eat healthy on a budget, how to access nutrition in various parts of New York City. So we definitely saw a need with that. And then with my headphones fell. Social skill development. So you know, being on a team is a great social experience, right? You can make friends. You learn how to lose. You learn how to win. You learn how to work together with other people. You learn how to be coachable. You learn how to participate in a very structured activity and follow directions. So there's obviously a large social development component of being on a team and playing sports. We kind of took it to the next level. So we, for nutrition, we really excited. We partnered with Pace University this semester. So we have a wonderful graduate student who's getting her degree in nutrition and dietetics. And she works with us about 20-25 hours a week to do nutrition education sessions for parents and caregivers. And we have a family cooking class on Wednesdays. So we have, you know, fairly simple recipes that are super healthy, you know, low budget that we cook together on Wednesday evenings. And then we brought on a licensed therapist and social worker to run virtual social skill development groups. So we have about 10-15 kids and we read books together. We work on conversational skills. We work on, you know, positive peer engagement. So we're really trying to make it a like holistic health services with, you know, kind of running as the focal point.
Oh, I love that. Especially in the time of COVID, it gets more challenging for people and families with disabilities to find good outlets for these things that they need, especially the social aspect, which I feel like is always like kind of overlooked, you know? It's always like an intellectual sort of like functioning aspect, but in reality, you know, social aspects are just as important.
Yeah, and especially now, you know, a lot of our kids are staying home for school, doing virtual school. You know, they're not going into a physical classroom. So, you know, kind of lacking that social aspect of the day, you know, it can feel even more isolating, right? We're all probably feeling more isolated at home and you're just not getting that social stimulation. So, you know, anything we can do to, you know, kind of compensate a little bit for that.
Yeah, no, I love that. So you had mentioned COVID, obviously. How has, aside from, you know, shifting, I guess, structure as well, like, could you talk a little about how the transition has been with COVID?
Yeah, so it was, I mean, you know, like many nonprofits and businesses, restaurants, it was really scary at first. Because, you know, our whole mission and purpose was to provide, you know, adaptive running programs, to provide equality and inclusion in running and athletics. And we're like, how are we going to fulfill our mission statement now? You know, I can't meet with the kids in person. And then another aspect was a large part of our programming happened in schools. So we would go into schools, special education schools during the school day, and we would do running programs, either part of their phys ed curriculum or as a club. And that was also, you know, a sizable chunk of our revenue. So don't have that now. And, you know, hundreds of kids that we're used to seeing every week and serving and you know, staying active with, you know, immediately just drop off. So we're like, okay, how can we pivot and still serve our families? So we instituted weekly live Zoom classes that, you know, free for everybody. So we started with just 3 times a week of fitness classes. So I would teach all of them, but then I would bring on guests. So we would have like guest coaches, and that was fun and exciting because the kids would get to meet different people and interview them at the end of the class. And a lot of these people were, super high profile runners, professional runners, Olympic gold medalists. So that was really great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then we added more of, now we have a curriculum that includes Mondays, we have a yoga class. Tuesdays, we have fitness and social skills group. Wednesday is cooking class. Thursday is another fitness and social skills group. So we've broadened it a little bit to be a bit more holistic, not just fitness classes. So yeah, that has been a really positive experience for us. I think it's been a great addition, transition, and in a way it does make our programming more accessible, which is great because we have kids log on from like Indiana and Connecticut and different parts of the country, not just in New York City. So that's been really exciting, and it's been kind of nice to have the hybrid programming model.
Yeah, I think that the silver lining that I always say is that we've learned so many different avenues that we can try in terms of inclusion. Some people may not feel comfortable with one thing, but maybe a virtual class works better for them, or time-wise, maybe that works better for them. So I think there's a little silver lining to all of this where now, you could figure out different ways and have different options as well,
Definitely. Because we have some kids who are, they're immunocompromised, or maybe someone in their family is, and they, literally can't, leave their apartment too much. So, it's a way for us to provide them services. And then also, if a child maybe has pretty bad social anxiety, sometimes just logging onto a virtual class and turning off their camera, that can kind of be like the first step for participating in a way that they feel comfortable. So yeah, it's definitely been a learning experience, like you said.
So just to clarify, since I know there's a lot of, at least on Staten Island, there's a lot of up and down in certain neighborhoods that have higher rates of COVID. So certain things are closed for us here versus other things that can be open. So right now in your program, you're doing all virtual right now? All virtual classes?
So we just finished a fall in-person season as well. So we were doing like very small group classes, running classes outdoors on the track. So we had a program in Bronx, Van Cortlandt Park, East Harlem, Thomas Jefferson Park, Williamsburg, McCarran Park, and then Fort Hamilton track in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. And then we, to your point, we did a couple of weeks in Juniper track in Queens, but then that became a hotspot, so we had to shut that down. It was a bummer. But we were able to get through, I think we did July through November of in-person programs. So we would kind of stagger them. So we'd do three to four kids at a time, all outside, a little bit different than what, normally we would have organized practice. But so, we would see kids at 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Instead of having the whole 20 kids together, 15 kids together. It was like 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. So it made for some long days, but it was great. Yeah.
No, that's cool. I think too, like running is a little beneficial in a social distancing kind of setting in that way. Like basketball, there's no way you can social distance when you're playing basketball. At least running has a little more flexibility and still kind of instills the same sports values and things like that, teamwork and all that.
Yeah. Usually we do like a lot of like relay races with batons or high-fiving your teammate. Couldn't do that this summer, fall. We had all the kids, spaced out, 10 feet with cones, and but it was pretty amazing. All of our kids were so good and responsible with wearing the mask. I was very impressed with all of them. They did a fantastic job.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You had spoken a lot about a lot of additional programs to meet the needs of the families. Could you talk a little about your reception that you've gotten from families and people that you've had in the program? Has it always been just flourishing and a wonderful business?
Yeah. I mean, like all organizations, you start small with like one school and then a couple families, and then it grows a lot of the times through word of mouth. There's a lot of like message boards for families of kids with disabilities or special needs, and if a parent feels strongly about something, they're going to blast that out. So that has been a great like marketing tool for us. But yeah, we definitely started small and grew, but I think we grew fairly quickly in the two years we've been around, and I think that just shows like the need for inclusive sports, the need for health programming, athletic programming for kids of all abilities, the need to provide like a safe space for families to feel comfortable, an environment that, if your kid is having a tough day, maybe they have a meltdown, like that's okay. It happens. We understand because we're all going through something similar. So yeah, I think it just kind of speaks to like the need that, to provide these physical activity, these athletic services, nutrition education for people of all abilities.
Love that. You had mentioned the Bronx and Brooklyn and all the boroughs. Could you just clarify where you currently have programs in the New York area?
Yeah. So for our in-person programs, so those are our running clubs and outdoor yoga classes. They're all outdoors in public parks. So in the Bronx, we do it in Van Cortlandt Park, which is like a running mecca. I'm sure you know that, Kevin. It's a, you could run there. I ran there this morning, and I, passed like 5 different professional runners. So it's a great place to kind of bring the kids, and there's a track there, and there's hills, there's dirt, there's grass. It's a great place to run. So we have a program there. And then in East Harlem, Manhattan, we run on the Thomas Jefferson track. So it's like First Avenue and 114th Street. And then in Brooklyn, we have 2 locations. One is Williamsburg McCarran track. It's a very popular track. A lot of running clubs use that. And then we have a program at Fort Hamilton track in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. So not too far from Staten Island.
Right there. Yeah, perfect. There you go.
Over the bridge. Yeah.
So with all of the transitions that you've made through COVID, where do you want to see this for 2021 now?
Yeah, good question. So we definitely want to continue building out the virtual program. I think it's something that we've seen like a really high retention rate. So kids coming back, young adults, older adults coming back, every class, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every week after week. So, and I think we've diversified it enough that it provides, every day provides, a different stimulus and a lot of value, I think. So we're definitely going to continue the virtual programming through 2021. And, we would love to begin to have participants from all other states, East Coast, West Coast, Middle America, participate in those virtual classes. And then once, the classes grow large enough and kind of hit capacity, then we can kind of begin to break them down by age group, and really kind of target, different age groups or developmental levels through those kind of staggered classes. So we definitely want to, we're going to definitely invest in the virtual programming and kind of build out a really nice curriculum that can also be used as like an at-home teaching resource. And then we're also, working on expanding our in-person programmings outside of New York City as well. So starting, fairly local, like Westchester, North Jersey, a little bit in Connecticut. And then, we're kind of in the process of, creating a package that schools or autism centers can adopt if, let's say they're in California or New Orleans or Miami or Detroit, that they can adopt a Fast Feet program and implement it into their community with the resources and support that we provide them. So it's kind of like our, our plan for 2021 through a couple more years down the road.
Oh, I love that. So just to clarify also too, so if I have a family member that has a disability, they don't need any running experience whatsoever, right?
No, we get, we have a wide variety of people who are, either just entering, the fitness world, just entering their fitness journey. We have, people who are in wheelchairs, people who have partial paralysis, all the way through athletes who can run a mile under 6 minutes. So we have a huge variety. We have people who, running is really hard for them and they don't enjoy it. But they still come every week because they know it's good for their health. And they do begin to see that progress. And then we also have people who absolutely love it and they find joy and pleasure and stress relief in running and moving and building confidence through sports. So it's a wide variety, but we welcome everybody. There's definitely no prior knowledge or experience for running needed to participate.
Oh, awesome. A brief aside, how has your personal running training have been the last couple months? How's that been going?
Yeah. Well, let's see. March, April, May, I ran every single run on this 800-meter dirt loop near my apartment. Like I think I went insane. Just over and over and over every day. I began to really dread running on that loop and getting out the door. And then I was like, okay, I need to leave my neighborhood. So I started to go to Central Park and then I got a car so I could go up to the Bronx or Rockefeller State Park, which is a beautiful running place in Westchester. So I just kind of ran mileage for the first couple months. But then I was actually able to get in some really good training. I run for the Westchester Track Club because my coach is the founder and leader of that track club. So I was actually able to put together a fairly good season with some of the really small in-person races here in New York City. So I did I did a half marathon, some outdoor track races, a 5K. So, it's different because you have to start 1 or 2 at a time. So, it's not like you're racing people. It's more of just racing the clock and racing yourself. So that was a little bit different, but, I gotta take what you can get in this year. That was my theory.
I hear that. 2021 is my year, so I'm putting 2020 in the books. It's over. It's done.
Yeah, how's your training been going? Have you been
it's
been running? Or, yeah, no.
Prior last year, I used to. So Staten Island is fairly we stay kind of to ourselves, So last year I started branching out and going into Prospect Park and all these other parks, just literally to get a different view, like you were saying. I run in the same 3 parks every single day, 2 parks maybe. So it was just nice to kind of get out there. So then this year, with everything being closed, it was just such a dramatic change for me personally that I was just like, oh, and I had to take a little time to kind of work on all these other things. But 2021 though.
Yeah, I think there'll definitely be events. There'll be some smaller races and then hopefully we can have larger events post-vaccine.
Yeah. I was just telling a bunch of my friends that I'm not sure what the next year's racing season is looking like because they already canceled the New York half, the United half, and everything. So I was like, oh, 2021 is not going to be a big, big race year,
Maybe in the fall. Cross your fingers. Yeah.
So how could our viewers and families and people watching get involved in any capacity with Fast Feet?
Yeah, so there's a few different options. One, I think the easiest is if you want to sign up and take some of our virtual classes. Like I mentioned, it's totally free for all families. Like there's no fee or anything. And they're live classes every single week taught by professionals in the field. So that would probably be the easiest and obviously the cheapest way to access our programming. People can also sign up for in-person programs. We'll probably resume those March 1st. It's kind of our plan for spring season. So virtual programs, you can sign up for in-person programs. We also would love to have, more volunteers. So anyone who's interested can always sign up to volunteer. If they want to support us in any other way, they can donate or offer to, donate in-kind services or goods. We also host a monthly Black Lives Matter run. So that occurs once a month, and we partner with a different nonprofit that provides health equity services for the Black community. We've been doing that since June, and we've raised, I think, over close to $80,000 for a variety of different nonprofits. So that's another way that people can get involved. They can participate virtually, do their own run, or we host some outdoor runs at the McCarran track once a month. So, but you can find that all on our website, which I think you just put on screen, or on social media at Fast Feet NYC on Instagram and Twitter. So yeah, I would say that those are the best ways. If you go to our website, you can also just sign up for our newsletter. I send that out once a week or once every other week. And that has all new initiatives we're doing, anything new or exciting, we put out in that newsletter. So it's probably one of the best ways to stay updated as well.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I really like that I had started this idea of discussing this with you as a running sort of thing. And I had no idea that you're just so involved in all these other ways of giving back to the community. That's very cool.
Yeah, well, anything we can do, we try. So.
Awesome, awesome. Hey.
All right. So with that said, trying to get back so I can put your website up on here for our viewers. There we go.
There we go.
So with that said, Suzie, I want to thank you again so much for coming on today and talking about your programs. And, our viewers definitely will be interested in wanting to join you on your journey and help with the growth. And for those of you who are watching, please reach out to Suzie. You can go on your website at fastfeetnyc.com or at fastfeetnyc on social media. And we want to thank you again for taking the time to speak with us today. And we hope you have a great day.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun chatting. I signed up for your newsletter maybe a year or two ago. So it's been great, to see all the amazing things that you were doing as well. So I appreciate you reaching out to me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for our viewers, we hope you all have a great day and we will see you next week.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.